Welcome to the WA Property Q&A, the podcast where I explore the ins and outs of buying property in Western Australia. I'm your host, Peter Fletcher, and each week I interview local property experts to help you to develop a deep understanding of the nuances of buying property in WA. From market trends to legal considerations, no topic is off limits. But before we dive in, a friendly reminder. While we provide valuable information, it's important to note that nothing discussed in this podcast should be construed as personal investment advice. Always remember to seek the appropriate professional advice for your specific circumstances. Now, let's get started and unlock the secrets to successful property buying in WA. Okay, good morning, folks. Today, I'm with none other than Charlie Gunningham.
Hey, Pete, how are you?
Good. And how are you?
I'm very well, thanks for having me. Good to be here.
So Charlie and I go way back
We do.
to about 2000 and I'm going to say 0?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
One or two, when I was starting AussieHome.com.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get you as a client. I tried my hardest. I once even popped in unannounced. Remember that? You were so nice. You were so gentlemanly. And the lovely smile you have now.
Oh,
No.
my God.
No. But we became good friends after that.
Yeah. So for those who aren't aware, you started up a portal, an internet portal called
AussieHome.com.
AussieHome.com.
Back in December 99, 24 years ago.
Yes.
Can't believe it.
Yes.
My goodness.
And that portal was primarily focused on the western suburbs.
It was. Yeah, because that's where Nick and I had met at UWA.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved to Perth in 97,
Mm-hmm.
bought a house. He similarly was a Swiss guy, came here, bought a house, and we were both talking at the end of the MBA. This is a crazy way of buying a house. But back then, of course, back in the 90s, it was the West Australian or the Sunday Times property section, which were like 120 pages thick, classified ad after classified ad. And we got discussing like half the ads didn't have the price or even the address in. So you charge around the home opens with your map and your West Australian lift out, and then during the week you couldn't do anything. There were some property sites, but they didn't have much on them. So realestate.com actually had launched, but it had no one on the ground here. So it had no content till 2003.
Mm-hmm.
So Nick and I got chatting, and then before we know it, it was the year of the dot-coms. It was 99. It was the new millennium, the Y2K bug. Remember that? So I quit my teaching job at Hale School. And Nick's a hedge fund trader from Zurich via New York. We're doing a property portal on the other side of the world. Neither of us had real estate, business, or IT experience. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know what we were in for.
Yeah.
And it was then that I probably bumped into you in that first year trying to get some real estate agents onto the portal. Trying to get them onto the net. Trying to get them to put their properties on the net, keep them up to date, and then pay for it.
And the funny thing is that it was the conservative players from the western suburbs that adopted it first.
Well, yes.
They were your first customers.
As it happened.
Think Acton, I think, was on board early.
Yeah, and Shelley Bears and Mac Hall. Actually, Oliphants and Mac Hall were the first. Yep, Shelley Bears. D-Seed, bless her.
Yeah.
So the real estate agents in the western suburbs, probably because they were independent boutiques, they weren't franchises, who already had their internet systems already locked away. So they could make a decision. Plus, that's where the internet was probably most used in the western suburbs. And they had the spare marketing budget to give some crazy idea like us a go. They were a bit suspicious, but they looked in our eyes and went, I'll give this guy a go.
Yeah.
And bless them, they stuck with us for 10 years. I mean, we then grew around the southern suburbs, around Albany Highway, Mount Lawley. We sort of owned that area.
Yeah.
In the city. And we had, we got to about 85% market share within about 3, 4, 5 years. Never really broke into Vic Park, your area. But anyway.
Sorry, Charlie.
But it was good.
Yeah, we're still mates.
And then we were acquired by REWA, the Real Estate Institute of WA, after 10 years. And then all my staff got jobs at REWA, and I got to run rewa.com. So it was a 13-year journey of doing what I suppose now you'd say is PropTech. But we didn't have that. We didn't even know what a word startup was.
Yeah.
There was no startup ecosystem. There were no co-working spaces, no angel groups, no accelerators like there are now. But back then, we were just doing a business and thought this internet thing was pretty cool and thought, well, at least the search would be online. And maybe if we can get real estate agents on to subscribe, we could sort of maybe build a business out of it.
Mm-hmm. And you did.
And we did. And I suppose we were lucky because, again, at that time, in the year 2000, probably, I think we calculated about $1 million a month was going to print media in real estate ads.
Yeah,
and that slowly ebbed away, and we know where that ended up. That ended up mainly going to realestate.com eventually, but it was a period of going from print to digital over a period of 10 years. And by the time we sold to REWA, and that was the reason for the sale, is we had the Western Suburbs, REWA.com had everything else. If we put it both together, we could sort of really make REWA.com stronger.
And now, a few years down the track, you've been business news, and then and now you're with the state government. And what you're going to say next, there's going to be a caveat. I know that. So fire away.
So as I do, so I'm going to fill in a bit of a gap of what I've been doing since I left REWA.com 10 years ago. But yes, I do now work for the state government. So listeners, everything I'm saying is Charlie Gunningham, the person, not to be construed as state government policy, or I'm talking on behalf of the department or our minister. I'm going to put that clear. This is Charlie Gunningham, the individual. But over the last 10 years, yes, I did go to business news. I'd always really admired them as an independent business publisher, thought they had real quality content. And when the owner came to me and tapped me on the shoulder and said, come in and help me with the digital transformation, and made me CEO, thought, well, there's something different. How do you save media in a digital age? I'd been sort of attacking the media a little bit with AussieHome.com, but how do you save a quality media organization like Business News? And because they were putting out a weekly paper, and yet 80% of their effort went into the paper, but 80% of their viewers was on an email that went out twice a day, and their website. And yet they had no revenue on their website. They didn't have digital subscriptions. It was basically people subscribe for a paper. So we had to flip that model around. That was very successful. And while I was there, the first co-working spaces, the first angel groups, the first accelerators. So having exited my startup, I wanted to help, I suppose, the next generation. And that's really what I've been doing for the last 10 years. So I wrote a lot about startups in Business News, and later in Startup News, which is something I took over in 2018, and a podcast, Startup West, to try and celebrate and put forward startups. I then worked when I left Business News in 2017, I worked for a federal government grant program where you could get up to $1 million if you're a pre-revenue innovator project. You could get up to $1 million. It's called Accelerating Commercialization. Doesn't exist anymore. But for 3 years, I worked on that. And then I went into state government, and I've been there for coming up for 2 years, running something called the New Industries Fund at the Department of Jobs, Tourism, Science, Innovation, or JTSI as it's known. And that's like, for me, I was thinking as I was driving over here, I really have the best job because we're all about supporting startups, innovators, early stage founders, getting them off the ground and getting them accelerated and creating new jobs. Why are we spending most of our time importing technology from overseas? What about local tech, Australian tech, or local startups? So that's what I'm engaged in now, and I really, really enjoy that.
Can we talk about the tech, the PropTech space, and what you're seeing emerging in that PropTech space?
It's funny because you'd think there'd be an awful lot of PropTechs, because property is a big industry. So if you look at the WA economy, and this is me now I was formerly an economics teacher, so way before I met you, I was actually from England and then Singapore, and here an economics teacher, so I'm always interested in economics. So you look at the WA economy, Peter, I think I'm right in saying that the gross state product of West Australia, 62% is mining. So not including exports and imports, just product, what we produce, 62%. Then there's a big chunk which is property and construction. We're talking about property 24-25 billion, construction similar. And then government itself is I think a $38 billion business. So, and if you add those industries up, you basically get 75% of the West Australian economy. Now, if the economy was a company, and you and I were on the board, we'd probably say to the CEO, mate, 62% of your revenue, of our revenue, is in one product.
Yeah.
And you're selling it to one customer, China. So
maybe need a bit
how
of
about diversifying?
Yeah.
Hence, Diversified WA is the economic plan. We sit under that. Now, you'd think with property being getting back to your question, being a big industry area, 24, 25 billion property, similar in construction, that PropTech itself would be huge. And although it has, for people like Callum Ashton from PropTech WA and other people who've really been pushing over the last few years, which is great to see, it's not as big. It's like sort of 8th biggest tech sector. And there are much bigger ones. Marketplaces, obviously mining tech, ag tech's pretty big, so agricultural technology. We really punch above our weight in WA in medical health life sciences. Who'd have thought? Space is becoming a big area. Defense, so cyber. So these are big areas. PropTech exists, absolutely, and I suppose I was running an early PropTech 20 odd years ago, and Rewa.com still, I think you'd say, is PropTech. There are people around there, and what I'm interested in, although I've been sort of out of it for 10 years, I've been looking at it sideways, because I'm agnostic now. I'm not just property, I'm any founder, anyone who is growing a business, is artificial intelligence and how AI will affect the property industry. And are you having to play with it? Are you seeing stuff happening in that sphere?
ChatGPT,
Right.
as we were talking off air, I'm a tortured writer,
Right.
and I love writing, but I don't like starting writing. So with ChatGPT, it's ask it a question, and it sort of gets you to a starting point.
Gets your first draft.
And just the way from to go, and it's from a content production point of view, it's been a massive help.
So for your blog posts, for
I haven't been
things?
doing much blog writing recently, but things like writing the blurb for this podcast, for
Right.
example. I just
you go on to
described-
ChatGPT, go, who is Charlie Gunningham?
I just
And you got nothing back.
Truth is, I probably used ChatGPT to just scrape some stuff, rewrite that, and it's pretty amazing. And we're just touching the surface with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, artificial intelligence actually has been around for a long, long time. So, been developing it in the 50s, people talking about it. But I think
why is it so big now? What?
ChatGPT was a game changer because a bit like the first browser, there was internet before, right? The browser came along, but it was really sort of super geeks at universities and going way back to the Pentagon and the ARPANET, which was the forerunner of the internet back in the 60s. Right, connecting computers lest there be a nuclear war. That's where the whole internet came from. But then out came Tim Berners-Lee in whatever it was, 1991, and made the web browser and made HTML. And suddenly, then when you got browsers a few years later, Netscape, etc., now anyone can get access to the internet. It's not just geeks at university or super intelligent people, research people. And what ChatGPT has done a year ago, it was only November last year, has now made this interface where you can literally, as you say, ask it a question, which people are used to doing. Write me a 200-word piece about Shakespeare. In French. Now in Chinese. Instant, 3 seconds, done. Well, you could have done that. You could have gone and got that from Google and whatever, translate and done stuff. It would take you hours. Now you're getting it in seconds. So what it is really a very, very clever search engine using artificial intelligence, which is just super fast computers who work incredibly faster than a human brain can, right? But it can only do what it's told to do. So does it have actual intelligence, like you and I? Can it suddenly say, I'm thinking of making an omelette? No. It'll do what you tell it to do, and therefore can do some otherwise menial manual tasks very quickly. But I think we shouldn't get too worried about when people see something they don't understand, it's going to take my job away, which is usually what people think. Technology
You don't think it will take jobs away?
It will obviously displace menial tasks. It'll obviously get rid of some jobs in the same way that technology has been doing that, by the way, for millennia, right? Like the wheel did, probably, and like the horse and cart did, and like the train did, and like the cinema did, and like the cars did, etc. So, if you're selling buggy whips back 100 years ago, then the car comes out, probably if that's your one product, you're going to have to change from selling buggy whips because they're going to be less horse-drawn carriages. So, yes, it's going to make a lot of change, I believe, and there's been various reports going way back to the 1870s. Technology will always create more jobs than it displaces.
Yeah.
So I'm positive about, and usually safer jobs, better paid jobs, right, than those that it displaces, or tasks that it displaces. These sort of tasks that you're talking about help you, save you time, allow you to do other things.
Yes.
So your brain is probably better deployed than coming up with copy for a podcast episode.
Yeah, that is fair to say, yeah.
It's a tool.
So how do you think that buyers are going to be using ChatGPT? What sort of software do you think might get developed to help buyers?
Yeah, so this again is a continuum going back probably from when the internet allowed buyers to get access to information, so that when I popped up in 2000 with Nick and AussieHome.com, understandably, our first reaction to this new technology was suspicion. Oh, you guys are going to take away the agent's power. We don't want everyone knowing what the prices are and where the properties are. We launched, and some of our agents said, take the property off the map. And I said to myself, when I came and pitched to you to be on my site, which bit about a map-based property website did you not understand? We are literally going to tell people, because we're not going to treat them like Dumbos. People want to know where the property is, so we're going to put it on a map, right? This is 6 years before Google Maps. And so it took a while, and probably they gave us a go, and they stayed with us, and it was all a bit clunky, but we sort of held their hand, and we got them through the internet, and they realized, actually, it means they don't have to run around with cars anymore and keys and lockboxes, which they used to do. They don't have to do that anymore. Having fired up buyers who know what they're doing and have access to information, actually, doesn't it make the transaction easier? You're still going to go through a real estate agent. You're not spending so much time with time wasters. I mean, you tell me, you've been in the market 20 years. Is it easier? Is it quicker because of the technology you've got? Yeah. Or is it reduced your power and buyers have got too much information and that's annoying for you?
Yeah, look, it's the technology side of things certainly hasn't changed the power spread too much. Buyers are better informed now.
Is that good?
I think so.
Are they misinformed, or they got the data at their fingertips and that's good? They can see the sales evidence. They know what's on the market. They can research it themselves.
Yeah, the information imbalance has reduced.
Right.
So that imbalance between the real estate agent and the seller, and the real estate agent and the buyer.
So the real estate agent used to own the information.
Yeah.
What was for sale.
Yes.
What the properties are.
Yeah.
Half the time in the ad, they didn't even put the price or the address. This is 20 years ago, because they wanted the buyer to bring up the real estate agent to get that information. Now, that's playing games.
That was the lead creation.
Was it though? Because I didn't even bother.
It was back in the day.
Right.
When I started out, it was, you'd never put the address on the ad unless you were running a home open.
Right.
And that was, I'll give you the address, but first I'll get your phone number, and that was just okay. Well, there's a lead.
Yep.
And all of that has gone away. Every now and then you'll see somebody advertise a property that is, address on request, and you think, okay, well, there may be a...
Well, they don't put the price on. You're going, really?
Oh, well, that's common.
Come on.
Yeah, that is 100% common, because that's the craziness of the market at the moment. Because agents are actually having pricing a property.
Right.
They get it to where they think it probably will land, but there's 5 to 10% variance regularly.
Yep. So getting back to the question, how will AI help buyers? Artificial intelligence, there will probably be already, and I don't know, lots of services out there right now, treat it like a different way to interface a search engine. We'll probably be able to provide you a lot of information about the market that's already in the public domain that could be scraped and put into a ChatGPT type interface right now, right?
I just wonder whether it's going to go down the path of a natural language interface. At the moment on realestate.com, it's starts with suburb and then goes down to property type and then beds, baths, price
it's
range.
very databasey.
Very databasey, yes. Whereas a natural language search would go, I'm looking for a sexy 4x2 around Churchlands, and it comes up with
a small garden. And, I'd like a north-facing.
and it comes up with a list of properties that might suit, and then it goes, and then you go, no, they're pretty ordinary, and then just refine it
through speech back and forth.
Through speech,
You could do that now.
Yeah.
That's just natural language. That's just a different.
But it's
search
not happening
engine.
though.
That's a different search engine interface.
Yes.
Fairly obvious.
Yes.
Not happening.
Well, I'm not seeing it. Have you seen it?
But that's not going to disintermediate the agent. That's not going to revolutionize the market. That's not going to take power away from the agent. That's just a different way of interfacing with buyers and sellers. And you don't have to use a real estate agent in West Australia, but what was it? 97% of people do. 97% of property sales are done by real estate agents. They don't have to. In other states, certainly in other countries, it's much lower. Singapore, it's lower. UK, it's lower. Here, it's very high, right? So you don't have to use real estate agents, but people do when they want to sell their property. So I'm not sure if it's going to. Well, I haven't seen anything yet that will absolutely, as the term is called, disintermediate.
Yeah.
And yet, back in the day, back when Nick and I were starting, we had a discussion about this. Do we take on the real estate agent and become this alternative marketplace where people can buy and sell? And we thought, I don't think the market's ready for that yet. It's still very early. We'll go with the real estate agent being our customer and do everything for them. We'll bring the technology to them and help them use technology. So, and this is where you and I really got working together, because when social media came along, right, you and I were, I think, doing the first ever social media courses for real estate agents. How to use blogging, how to use Twitter, how to use Facebook advertising. You and I went and did them down at Challenge Stadium, I remember, right? And it was packed. And we'd do that. And then we brought you into Rewa, and we did stuff with Rewa.com, and
I remember we were thinking one day on one of those courses, we're rolling through, and I said, just right mouse click on, and somebody goes, What's right mouse click? And I went, oh, God.
Okay. Bless them.
We are in trouble here.
No. We're holding their hand and helping them along. That's all good.
Yeah,
so I've been looking for the disintermediator that's going to disrupt the market, and every now and again they pop up and say we're the Uber of real estate, and you don't.
Yeah, well, we were just looking at one, and we're not going to mention their name.
Sure.
We were looking at one that,
and it looked like they were trying to do that,
claimed that very thing, and truth be told, I think that they're more targeting the conveyancing side of
your lot,
the business.
What you're up to now? You worried about that?
No, yes and no. I think it's what all the players bring to the table isn't the technology like PEXA when it came along. It stripped a whole bunch of jobs out of the industry, and which is all the outside clerks. That
the menial tasks.
But it was, as you say, it was the menial tasks, and I would say this, there's going to be new technology that there's going to strip other menial tasks out.
Could you develop? Are there some menial tasks in settlement? Of course there are. That could be stripped out using technology.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% sure there is, and
Still keep you involved
Well,
and providing that service to your clients.
Yeah, so it's the insight that I think that we provide. It's the insights around things like my favourite, chemical delignification.
What on earth is that?
Is it a structural defect or is it not a structural defect?
Right.
And there's a whole bunch of
Right.
toing and froing about that, and it's a very nuanced discussion.
Yes.
So that does not get removed by technology.
Right. There's an intuition there that you need a human to make a decision, to make a call.
Yeah.
Through experience, etc., through seeing something, reading something,
Yeah, and
being there on the spot.
Yeah, there's a thing in around the ChatGPT circles or AI circles that is called human in the loop. So you say ChatGPT, well, write this, and then the human steps in and polishes it up,
Coaches
and changes it, and
but also it started with a human asking a question.
and it started with a human asking the question. Yes,
Right.
yes.
Otherwise, just sitting there dead, right?
Yeah.
But let's ask it in a different way. Let's go forward 50 years. You and I are long gone. So it's 20.
I'll only be gone by about 2 years.
Okay. Good on you. You live to 130.
100.
Whatever. 110.
108.
So we're 50 years hence. We're in the 2070s. Real estate industry. Will it be as it is now? No. Will technology be running most of it? Yeah. Will there be humans involved? Yeah, probably. It'll be different. It'll look different. Like, go back 50 years, right? Go back to the 1970s and now come into the 2020s. What the hell are these phones you're running around with, right? These little devices. It's looking like Star Trek from back then. Probably one of the top shows back in the 1970s, right? It's looking, wow, that's like otherworldly. It's going to accelerate even more in the next 50 years. Might agents be disintermediated? They might. Could a technology come along that would allow a buyer and a seller to meet directly, allow someone to list their properties themselves and sell it using technology without a real estate agent in the next 50 years? Probably.
In there's still an agency relationship.
Could be.
But it looks just a bit different. It might have more tech in it.
Who are going to be the agents that survive? Who are going to be the ones leading it? The ones using technology now. The ones talking about it as you are and providing some sort of service to their customers, keeps it relevant, keeps the exchange relevant. So one would hope that the real estate institutes, that the peak bodies for real estate who wanted to protect that relationship and be the body of the industry. And I worked for a very good real estate institute, REWA, for 3 years, as you know. And they were about protecting but also promoting real estate agents and property managers as professionals, doing a really good, difficult job. And I must say, the real estate agents I've used and my property managers are excellent. But in the future, who might I be using? The ones who are probably, for me, giving me enhanced services using technology that grab onto it and use it for the benefit of their buyers and sellers and tenants.
So I'm hearing that Microsoft Copilot is coming out.
Yes.
And so what that is going to enable practitioners to do is the email comes in and you just go click create a reply and it's just going to write your reply for you.
So AI within Outlook, basically, within Microsoft Outlook.
What's going to be interesting is that you got AI writing the reply at one end and potentially AI writing the reply at the other end.
I know where you're going.
And
all these computers talking to each other.
And all these computers talking to each other. And I'm hearing that that Zoom meetings, you're going to be able to get an AI bot to stand in your place, take notes, ask questions, and
you're out fishing on Rottnest Island.
and then, somebody else cottoned onto it, and you've got this meeting full of AI.
Great. I want to send my bots to every meeting. Got a great idea. Answer all my emails.
And
wow,
now,
how productive would I be during the day?
And now you go, what's the purpose of the whole exchange? You might as well have got the two bots together and just go, we'll agree on this.
Sort it out, guys.
And have the human in the loop go, yeah, we agree with that, and press the go button on a piece of software.
Going to a meeting, sending an email, a menial task. If you don't have to send another email, are you going to be bothered about that? I mean, I could spend a whole day just answering emails. I get a fire hose of emails. They love emails in state government, and they love meetings. Take away most of that. I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but it's pretty obvious, right? And I could be more productive in my day.
I think anyone's day would be more productive if they got rid of emails or replying to menial emails. But, the funny thing is that some people are addicted to them.
Yeah.
They just...
But let's get back to what's it called? Microsoft?
Copilot.
Copilot, yeah. Coming out next week, I think.
I'm excited about it.
If it's going to give me an AI layer over my calendar, my Teams meetings, and my emails, so that I can interrogate it. Because often I'm going, what was that email that I sent? And I have to go and look at it in my deletes or my sents. Oh, for goodness sake. If it's going to give me an AI layer going, give me every email about that I've sent, or including meetings and Teams calls, and it might even give me a transcript of the Teams call right now, summarized in 100 words. Thank you. That's just saved me 5-10 minutes of meaningless time, and it's taken 10 seconds. I go, great, I get on. That's removing a menial task, making me more productive. That's good. I'm doing more stuff with less in the same amount of time. So I'm all happy. I think also Copilot is going to be secure. Beware of ChatGPT. It's not secure. It's in the public domain. You could have awful lot that's ways into your computer. You've got to be very careful about that. So be very careful about going into your office and going, hey guys, AI, okay, we're all going to use ChatGPT. Go. No. So Microsoft are doing it in a way, I'm not selling Microsoft, but they're doing, it's not cheap. It's $500 per person per year, so it's not going to be cheap. But is it going to give you $500 worth of value in a year? Right? I won't answer that question. Think about it, and then you'll go, I might give this a go.
I have zero doubt it will.
Right.
And what it does is, you kind of feel for platforms like Grammarly, which you could use it as, I think it had an Outlook interface and
even WordPress,
and a Chrome interface.
Yes.
And you click on, it'll tell you where you've made the mistakes, and that's fantastic. But AI takes it to the next level. It just interrogates what the conversation and writes your reply for you, and sorts out the grammatical issues. And every now and then I see, one of our people, they get a bit hot under the collar and write a reply that probably should have been dialed back a bit.
Yes.
And
it's great, though, to write those replies and then delete it.
Well,
you feel so good. Don't send it. Just write it. Get it off your chest. Delete it.
I
feel better.
Even better still, just get AI to write the reply.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, we're in safe grounds here. And
or the number of times you've sent it to someone incorrectly because of autocomplete of an email address. Oops, that's gone to the wrong person. Ouch. Right? But you've sent emails with robots before. You've sent an email newsletter, right? So you've set up the newsletter. You might have then scheduled it, and it's just gone off to 250, 2,500 people. Right? So the idea of someone sending an email for you is not that amazing into the future. You've been doing it for years, so have I. And even you can then see who's opened it, who's clicked on what link, right? That's been around for over 10 years.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how. Okay, so here's one thing that I see as a possibility for buyers, and that is we get a lot of eastern states clients say to us, oh, can you do a contract review?
Okay.
Well,
So what's that?
Contract
You
reviews.
sighed. So again, it sounds like a menial task to me.
Well, contract reviews make a lot of sense in the eastern states,
Right.
But here in WA, they make less sense because everything is templated. You've got the REWA standard annexures and the REWA standard offer and acceptance.
And over there could be all types of different contracts.
I think so.
I don't need to review.
I don't know. The lawyers often prepare the contracts and then give them to the parties. My point is this: you upload a document to AI, and it creates the contract review for you. Now, there's some value in that.
For sure. You would know all the rules and regulations and laws instantly and be able to tell you beep, boop, boop, bits that are wrong, bits that need reviewing.
Well, I'm no lawyer, and so there's a very clear disclaimer that don't do this at home.
Nor am I.
I asked ChatGPT to write me a contract condition for something or the other. I can't remember what it was, but wow, it was good. It was way better than I would have ever done. Now, a lawyer who's listening to this would probably say, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that." But the fact is that real estate agents write contract conditions regularly. And we see them come through on contracts. They're dreadful. Even myself as a layperson looks at them and just goes, they're missing the when out of the what, why, when, where, and how, or they're missing the who out of it, and it's just this dreadful condition. So I just go, well, ChatGPT would be really, really handy there, not just for real estate agents, but also for buyers who go, well, do I really want this, this worded this way, put a little bit of meat into it.
So there's another application. We should probably stop talking about ChatGPT because that's just one example. Really, it's AI.
Yes, it's
Artificial
AI.
Intelligence is going to be huge, right? So, and that is going to affect every industry. This is where we came in. It's affecting not just property, it's affecting every industry. It just will. It'll affect government. It will affect property. It'll affect selling of widgets. It'll affect all sorts of things. It's going to affect media. Absolutely. So, and as it looked on as a tool that reduces menial tasks that no one really likes doing anyway and can do very efficiently and very fast, can release human endeavor to do more creative, high-level stuff, which we're really good at. Like, because we have empathy, we care, those sort of things that we can spend time doing those things.
What would be really good is to have an AI bot on your website where people could chat and ask questions. And
Chatbots have been around for ages.
I know, but they're often not accurate.
Okay.
Or
So make them better?
Inaccurate. Now, I haven't seen any really good ones that are trained for local real estate.
Right.
That understand.
Right.
Something along the lines of, what would happen if I didn't get my finance approved on time? Now, one of my people, I know I could answer that question quite comfortably because I know what the REWA clause 1 talks about. But I've yet to see a chatbot.
There's that test, isn't there? And I've forgotten the name of the test, but the test is if you're talking to a chatbot, and let's say there were 10 of them, and 5 of them were actually humans behind it, and 5 were AI. And you could not tell the difference. No matter what you said, you could not tell the difference. Then you've crossed over to actual intelligence, generative AI, not just AI, right? the AI of AI, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably where it's heading. You don't actually know. It's as good as talking to a human, but you're not. So some of these they're not bad, but
they're not bad. But
depending if you have to sort of ask the question the right way.
Sometimes they have
and they're not.
an hallucination, and they make stuff up, and you go, I can't believe you just said that, because it's just flat out wrong.
Yes, it's the Alan Turing test, wasn't it? The Cambridge mathematician who got the Nobel Prize.
Okay.
Is that right? Who did that machine that was used in the Second World War to decode the messages. Anyway, Turing
Turing.
Turing test. Yeah.
T-U-R-I-N-G. Yeah.
So that's what so that's probably being developed right now. That doesn't sound too hard to get a real estate bot that almost acts like a human, and you could have real-time discussion back and forth with it. Quite easy. Probably on your phone.
Well, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, Charlie. I think it'll make the world a bit more interesting for buyers. For the older set, they're almost going to feel kind of alienated.
They want that human interaction.
Yeah. We see this with some of our older clients, where they like the sense of certainty of paper. We do very little in paper, but every now and then you'll get a client who just, can't you just print it out and send it? And
and they still like walking into a bank and doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I remember the last time I walked into a bank.
With their passbooks.
Bless them.
Yeah. All right. So
and then there's this whole generation, my kids in their 20s, who will never open a newspaper or a magazine.
Yes.
They haven't yet. They won't.
Yes.
Everything is through their phone.
Yeah. So that's interesting, because we've seen that shift from newspapers to where
they've
where
grown
it is
up
today.
With the shift already done.
What is their shift going to be in 30 years' time, when they're sort of roughly our age? They're going to be going to their kids.
Yep.
I remember back in my day, we had
I actually drove a car.
Apple iPhone. Yeah, well, yeah. Well, what is it?
I drove a car. What was that like? I did a driving test. Is this the last generation that'll do a driving test? Right? In 30 years' time, will we be driving cars? So when horse and cart and the cars 100 years ago, there was a 20-year period where there were horse and carts. Yeah. You go back and look at the old 1920s, 1930s. Yeah, there were cars and there were horses and carts. But after 20 years, there were very few horses and carts. So there will be a 20-year period where people are driving cars and there are automated self-driving cars. But probably after 20 years,
when
nearly all of them are going to be self-driving.
When you talk about that, what is the future of petrol stations?
Right. They're going to be charging stations. They're going to be EVs. Already now in Norway, 68% of new cars are EVs. Here it's more like 5-6%. We're way behind in Australia. But last year it was 2%. So it's coming. And range anxiety, right, is the problem. Most people are worried about, will the battery last more than 10 years? Outlast the car? Well, yes, they will. Oh, it's expensive, but it's coming down. I see E-minis now sold for under 50 grand. They used to be 80. It's coming down. You got BYDs coming in from China, they're going to be 30 grand. Already now, the MGs, I think, which is the cheapest EV, is in the 30 grand. Now that's become more affordable. My next car will certainly be an EV. Haven't bought one in a while, but probably if I do buy one, that'll probably what it'll be. So, we're going to move, and then eventually, do we even need to own cars at all? Will we even need traffic lights if you've got self-driving cars? Will we need car parks? Will we have more cars on the road or less cars on the road?
We're in WA. Our electric cars won't be able to merge.
That'll be programmed in.
But this raises an interesting.
Now we're off real estate, but you know what I mean?
Well, yes, we are, but it's also we could very easily bring it back onto real estate by saying, well, if all that is coming,
Yeah.
what is the shape of property? What are the sorts of things that in properties that people are going to want to expect?
Yeah.
Things like charging stations, batteries.
Would they even
or at
need car
least
parks? Car base? Would you even need it?
Yeah, well, if you have self-driving cars
And you just hire them on Uber anyway.
yes,
Why do you even need to own them?
yes,
It's just mobility. It's just moving around, right? I mean, I see buses going around; they're empty. So the buses go away. We just got self-driving vehicles of all different shapes and sizes we can hire whenever we want. I don't know. It's going to be a transition, just like print to digital. We saw that in advertising. It's not going to happen on one day. It's going to happen slowly. So slow that the incumbents don't realize what's happening and they're being white-anted, right? But they're very arrogant because they've got the market and they're making good money, and they'll still make good money until it's too late and someone else is blowing past them. So I always say, beware the homicidal tortoise, right? The homicidal tortoise will get you, not the hare. The tortoise wins the race in Aesop fables, right? Beware the homicidal tortoise, which is going to kill you slowly. And you don't see it. It's an invisible, by the way, homicidal tortoise. You don't see it. So the print media had the market in 2000. By 2010, the online media had the advertising market. And you can't tell me that it happened on October the 27th, 2006. No, it didn't. It happened slowly over 10 years. And it's still going on. So there are trends going on right now, eating away at the incumbents, because that's what they do, finding competitive edges. AI will accelerate it only quicker. And I don't know where it's going. Right? But it's going to be different. But I would look for the homicidal invisible tortoise. Look for the small, slow changes. It's going to eat away, but have a dramatic impact over time.
Yeah.
AI, absolutely. Internet of Things, absolutely. Smart cities, yes. Autonomous vehicles, yes. Hiring them whenever you want for mobility, yes. What sort of change is going to happen in healthcare, right? The sort of technology that's going to help surgeons in healthcare, and better medicines and all that sort of stuff. We're going to live longer, looking after the aged. We're going to have this increasing population over 60, over 70, over 80, as the baby boomers now are reinventing retirement, and they want to live in their houses for longer. So what technology will be required to help them live in their houses for longer and safely, right? So we have, my parents have passed away, but you're worried perpetually. How are they? You know, my dad had a few falls, mum, etc. And, you know, didn't end up in a home. They lived until dad passed away. They lived in their own 2-story house, and it was like, ooh. And that was back in England. And every time the phone rang, I thought something had happened badly to them, you know. So technology is going to help there. Technology is going to help in education. Technology is going to help in regional areas. I'm fascinated with how technology is going to solve all sorts of problems, which is why, getting back to where we started, I love my job, because I'm there helping startups, innovators, researchers. I'm industry agnostic. Wherever they are, what a problem they're solving. That's what I want to hear. I actually don't care about the technology or the features. I want them to tell me clearly, what problem are they solving? What are they seeing that they can solve elegantly with technology, and why are they going to be the ones to solve it? Because if they solve a problem, they create value. And if they create value, someone might pay for that value. And if someone might pay for that value, there could be a business in it. But it goes down to, what problem are you solving? What have you seen you can solve with technology? And if you don't worry about your product, because your product will change as your customers demand what they demand and buy what they buy. But ultimately, the only validation is a customer taking money out of their pocket and paying you for whatever that service is, whatever that technology is.
Charlie, right there, I think, is a good spot to wrap today up. This has been a fascinating conversation, as it always is.
Been great
when we get
to chat
together.
with you again, Pete.
Now, at this stage of the podcast, I usually ask people if how people would want to get hold of you, and is that a possibility here?
Absolutely. So I've come off Twitter. I don't really post on Facebook anymore.
Yes.
I rarely on Instagram.
Yes.
So probably if you want to reach me, easiest is the only one I'm really active on is LinkedIn. So look me up on LinkedIn. I find that more professional, more grown up. The others, I'm afraid, have gone into a basket, and I don't like them anymore.
Yes.
I'm not on them.
Just go straight to TikTok, Charlie.
No. You don't want to see me on TikTok.
Oh, he's channeling some good boomer energy. So you're Charlie Gunningham on LinkedIn. Yeah, if somebody wants to reach out and ask you a question,
especially if they've got a technology or an idea, I love sitting down with people and having a coffee, and I'll buy the coffee.
Yeah, very generous with your time.
Happy to.
Charlie, thank you so much for your time, and that's all for this episode. So thanks for tuning in. And that wraps up another episode of the WA Property Q&A. We hope you found our discussion valuable and gained some valuable insights into the world of property buying in Western Australia. Remember, while we strive to provide useful information, it's crucial to consult with the appropriate professionals before making any investment decisions. Don't forget to tune in next week for another exciting episode where we continue to unravel the mysteries of the WA property market. If you have any questions or topic suggestions, feel free to reach out to us. Until then, happy property hunting, and remember to seek the right advice for your personal circumstances. Thank you for listening.